This show is produced by the Harwood Podcast Network.
Hi, I'm Cindy Harris. We love making this show available to you free of charge. And if you'd like to help us keep it that way, make a contribution to our Karma Jar or become a show sponsor. To learn more, visit our website.
Today we're going to be starting some seeds, but before we do that, let's see what's going on out in the garden. Here's our bulb pot that we planted in January, and look at those nice healthy sprouts that are coming up. Here's my evergreen pear tree. It's starting to blossom, and look what I found, these darling little lily of the valley flowers. I'm always so happy when these pop up, and as you can see, the rose garden has been completely pruned and is ready for spring. The freesias are sending out more and more spikes, so those will be beautiful flowers. And then look at this camellia loaded with beautiful red flowers. Now what I thought we'd do today is start some seeds. And the reason I thought this would be a good thing to talk about today is because I've gotten emails from folks all around the world that have told me that getting fresh herbs at the grocery store is not always that easy, but they can grow them at home, and they were wondering how to start seeds. You know, not everyone has a big garden that they can grow vegetables and herbs in, but that doesn't mean you can't enjoy gardening anyway. Today I'm going to show you some ways that you can plant seeds so that they can be transplanted out into the garden, but also if you want to just have a nice pot of herbs that you can have on your porch or on a sunny window, you can have that too. So let me give you a few ideas on how you can do this. If you have access to a garden center, you may find things like these little jiffy pots. They're made of peat, and they're a really good way to grow things. They also sometimes have these packaged little greenhouses, and that can also be very handy. Now, one of the pluses to using one of these peat pot type containers is that as the plant gets big enough to be transplanted into the garden, you don't have to take it out of the container. Because the container is made of peat, it just disintegrates in the garden, so you're not disrupting the roots. Well, today I'm going to be using a container that I have here at home, which is just a simple clay pot. Now, if you're going to use a clay pot or some kind of container like this, do make sure that it has holes in the bottom for drainage. But you can also use things like yogurt containers and cottage cheese containers, anything that can hold the soil, but do make sure that you put holes in the bottom and make sure that the container is really clean. If you're using a container that has had food in it like cottage cheese or yogurt, those bacteria can actually make it difficult for a seed to take root. So do make sure you wash it thoroughly with soap and water. You also need to have some kind of plastic dish or container that will hold water, because regardless of what kind of container you're using, we're going to need those pots to sit in water because the moisture level needs to be high to get seeds to germinate. And then you'll need to get a little bag of some sterilized potting soil like this. It's good to use something like this as opposed to garden soil. Sometimes there are things in garden soil or there are nutrients that are lacking, and when you're trying to grow seeds and nice strong plants, you want to use a really good soil for that. So now it is time to plant. So I've put my container in the little saucer. I've got my gloves on. And I'm going to start filling my container up with the potting soil. Now you're going to notice that this potting soil is really, really light. And as we put it into the container, we are going to want to compact it just a little bit. So you'll see I've added some. I'm going to press it down and add just a bit more. You need to press the soil down because you want the seeds to have a nice sturdy foundation for the roots to crawl around in. Also, you'll notice that this potting soil is very, very dry, and we need to hydrate it. So before we put any seeds near the dirt, let's go ahead and get our watering can out, and we want to water this really well. And the way to tell that the moisture has gone all the way through all that potting soil is to begin to see it leaking out of the bottom of the pot. And that does two things. One, it gets the potting soil nice and hydrated, but two, it lets you know that this pot is draining really well, which is important for roots as they're growing. If they sit in water and are not draining well, they have a tendency to rot and not be a very strong plant. So I'm going to have a look, and I can see that I've got some water dripping out of the bottom, so that is a great sign. Now I'm going to get my packet of seeds, but before I open it, let's look at some of the information on the back. The things that I'm interested in looking at this point are how many days till these seeds germinate, and I can see here it's usually 5 to 10 days. The planting depth, that tells me how much dirt I need to have on top of these seeds when I plant them. And it also gives me a map of the different growing zones so that I can see when I should start these indoors if I am going to want to transplant them out into my garden. So now I'm going to open the seeds. I'm just going to tear the very top of it open so that I have all that information. I'm not going to be using all of these seeds because, as you can see, these basil seeds are very, very tiny, and you might be tempted to sprinkle them all on, but because they are so small, remember that each one has the capacity to make an entire plant. So just take, I'm going to put about maybe 15, 20 seeds and sprinkle them right on top of my soil. Now, once we see how many of our seeds actually germinate, we will then be able to thin these out, because obviously in this container I don't want 20 basil plants, but I'll show you how to do that once the time comes. Now it's time to take some of our potting soil and sprinkle on top of the seeds. Remember, we want about 1/4 of an inch of dirt on top of our seeds. That's what the planting depth said on the back of the seed packet. Then we will take and compress that down, and this is also an important step. We want those seeds to really set in that dirt. Now it's time to water the seeds, but you'll notice I'm using a misting bottle, not my watering can. And the reason is we've got the dirt nice and moist. I just want to get the seeds moist now. And if I were to pour a bunch of water on it, it would probably displace them. So a misting bottle is what you're going to be using to water these seeds for the next 5 to 10 days. Now, when we're starting seeds, it's really important that the seed and the dirt stay nice and moist. So to help us achieve that, just get a plastic bag, and we're just going to set that right on top of the pot, just like that. And that's going to really help the moisture not evaporate. Now we need to bring our pot into the house and find a nice warm place. If it has sun, that's fine. But for the next 5 to 10 days, the two things that are important is moisture and heat. So find the warmest place you can in your house and put your pot there. And once you've found a home, I go ahead and mist it again, because you really can't over mist it at this early stage of the game. Check to make sure that you have water in the saucer underneath. That's really important. And then place that plastic back on top. We're creating like a little greenhouse. And then each day you need to check it a couple times a day and spritz those seeds. Well, I find it very exciting to go in and watch the seeds each day, and when they make their appearance, I'm always so thrilled. When they do, you're going to want to take that plastic off and get your pot into a nice sunny window so that these plants can start to grow. Now, one last thing is I wanted to take a moment and tell you about our brand new badge program that we've launched here at the network. I'm really excited about this because what we've done is designed all kinds of badges that you can earn by doing some of the things that you learn when you're watching our podcasts. So if you planted bulbs with me last month, just take a picture of your pot and send it to me, and I'll send you this great bulb badge. If you're doing any of the winter gardening projects we've talked about so far, again, send me a photo and I'll send you the winter gardening badge. Even if you promote this show either on your Facebook page or to friends, let me know and I'll send you this promoter badge. This is a really fun thing to do, and it's totally free. All you have to do is go to our website and you can sign up there. Well, if you're interested in starting some seeds of your own at home, just go to our website and visit the Cindy's 4-Season Garden show notes, and I'll have information for you there. And as always, if you have any questions or ideas for me, please send me an email. I'll see you next time.